just lie down, and baby, let your mind roll on. Hey, walk right in, tell them.
Hi, Jay Philosopher here, and today I'm going to be talking about this book. It's Sartre, Romantic Rationalist by Iris Murdoch. I entitled this Philosophy Helps segment Iris Murdoch Creams Jean-Paul Sartre. The reason for that is the ambiguity of the word creams, which I kind of like. To cream somebody in a sports sense means to score a big victory over them, and perhaps Iris Murdoch does in this book score a big victory over Sartre. Also, Sartre, when he portrays the world in La Nausée, his first novel, he talks about the world being melting, viscous, gooey substance, and that's how he feels the world. That's his nausea. So to cream somebody maybe brings Sartre back to the world, and so that's another reason for using the word cream. And I wouldn't dismiss the sexual connotation either, that to have sexual intercourse is usually having something to do with creaming somebody. Somebody gets creamed. Cream is mother's milk, and it's also I guess sperm and lubricant, and so there's a sexual connotation to the word cream also, and I think that's part of what we're doing here. Iris Murdoch, I don't really know a lot about. This is the only book that I've read by her. Well, I'll just put it away for a moment. There is a movie called Iris, and I've seen that, and let me show you a clip from it.
If we weren't married, we could do this all the time. Perhaps.
We should be doing it nearly all the time.
Her name was Iris Murdoch.
Are you with Iris?
Hoping so.
She challenged the boundaries of what was true.
I'd like you to read this.
What's it about?
How to be good, how to be free.
You love words, don't you?
One doesn't have words, how does one think?
She pushed the limits of what was safe.
She likes people with a bit of a past, don't you?
Do you like women? I mean, do you go to bed with them?
Iris, wait for me!
Just keep tight hold of me and it'll be all right!
I can't catch up with you!
But only one
Perhaps it's time we made love.
Yes.
would be there in her youth.
People, of course, are very secretive. People have obsessions which they don't admit to.
And would love her all her life.
She's a noted philosopher, an honorary fellow, as well as author of some 26 novels.
Little excessive, don't you think? There is only one freedom of any importance whatsoever, that of the mind.
Now, two of the most acclaimed actresses of their time bring to the screen one of the most extraordinary women of her time.
Does she know anything about her past? Career, work, friends?
Academy Award winner Judi Dench.
I wrote.
Such things you wrote. Special things. Secret things.
Jim Broadbent.
You see, words have meant everything to her.
Academy Award nominee Kate Winslet.
I know you must feel that I don't belong in your world.
You know more about me than anyone on earth. You are my world.
Iris.
Okay, so that's a trailer for the movie Iris, and I didn't really like the movie. I thought it was okay, had a lot of good things in it, but basically I was looking for a biography of Iris Murdoch, and this was more of a mortography. It was about her death rather than being about her life. It was about her disease, Alzheimer's, which she contracted apparently in her 70s, and she died when she was 80 years old. And I think it could have really been, for the most part, it could have been about anybody who contracted that terrible disease. And of course, it is a horrible disease, but it wasn't really what made Iris Murdoch unique in her life. And I think the movie should have focused on that. It should have been more about her life. Instead, it was more about her death. About 50% or more of the movie is really showing her in her last years when she's has Alzheimer's and is dying. So it's not that pleasant a movie to watch, and kind of sad and tragic, of course, as Alzheimer's and all diseases of that type are. And so I would have preferred maybe 5 minutes at the end about Alzheimer's and the rest about her life, but instead they kind of made the majority of the movie was about her death. So I thought that was kind of a poor decision. It's okay for those who want to see a movie about Alzheimer's, but for those of us who wanted to see a movie about Iris Murdoch, a woman philosopher, it just didn't capture enough of her life. And her life apparently was interesting. One thing that I thought was interesting that wasn't in the movie was the fact that she was a member of the Communist Party in her youth, and she was denied a visa to come to the United States in 1946 because she had or was a member of the Communist Party of Great Britain. So that kind of tells more about the time, I think, than anything, and that should have been included in the movie. And so I'm trying to understand her politics. I don't really know that much about her politics. Apparently, people say, at least what I could gather, is that during her last years, at least, she became quite conservative and a supporter even of Margaret Thatcher, but I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't done enough research. But here's something interesting. Here's an interview she did when she was about 53 years old in 1972. Here at this point, she actually talks about being sympathetic to the Marxist worldview, and she gives a little bit of an attack against Jean-Paul Sartre. So let me show you this clip, and then we'll talk more about her book. And we come back to the
ideal, which you
this
have in
is a
your
very moving, I think, and a significant passage account where he says you must step back even from the image of Christ and consult what you've got inside you. No philosopher really gives one an entirely satisfactory picture. I mean, I think it would be impossible perhaps to be a great philosopher and to give a really comprehensive view of the human situation. Well, I mean, why? I mean, the answer to this question is a very complicated one too, but because great philosophers have a certain very strong vision of the human setup, and are inspired by this, and this almost always means they neglect something or other. But I feel great sympathy with roughly the Marxist vision, because it emphasizes the non-solitariness of the individual, the way in fact you're sunk in history, you're sunk in a world that you haven't chosen and that you can't dominate, and which moves you. And a lot of your freedom, my own personal view of freedom, would be a function of recognizing this fact in one way or another, that there's not very much you can do with what you're given, and devising methods of making small alterations in your relation to the data of your situation is a very important part of the moral life. In fact, probably most of it.
So we saw Iris Murdoch there giving kind of a nudge or shove to Jean-Paul Sartre and the expansiveness of his idea that we are totally free, and endorsing the more Marxist perspective that we are sunk in history, and that history largely determines what we are and how we see the world and what we become in the world. Now, I'm going to end this video here, but in the next video we'll go over much more stuff about Iris Murdoch and her book on Sartre.